WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I am back in the home studio. I've been out on the road, Western Maryland. We'll be next week moving out and about from Salisbury to Ocean City for the Mako. Having some great guests next week on the program as well, back and forth, and this week at LP Steamers, and then onward to Eldersburg and Liberatores, as well as our new friends at Rock Salt Grill. I've known Lee a long time over at the Cranberry Mall. We're going to go downtown and get a crab cake with him a little later on this month. You can find the whole schedule at Baltimore Positive. It is all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery, Goodwill, Win Donation, and the Restaurant Association of Maryland and Restaurant Week coming up in September. I've been in a lot of restaurants. I've had crab cakes with this guy in several places. I'm going to get him out before the month is over when he gets his AC fixed. Leonard Raskin, we welcome him back. He did a month and a half abroad, just sleeping in your own bed on my own. Like, I spent 4 days in Western Maryland. Leonard had a great time. Rocky Gap was beautiful out there in the beautiful Deep Creek. I went to practice with the Steelers, who cordially invited me up to Latrobe.
Oh my goodness, there you go.
Like Toto and Dorothy. There's no place like home, though. You know, home's good.
I'm with you. After a good long trip, it's absolutely great to be sleeping in my own bed and in my own house. And since it was a big European trip, sleeping in America is always good. So, and having a drink with ice. Ice in the summer is a critical thing. And in France,
you learn that when you're in Europe and you ask for an ice
not
cube,
about ice.
They know you're American and they laugh at you and they plop one little ice cube into your cola and you just watch it evaporate.
That's
and
right.
You're like, now I have watered down warm drink.
Right.
Literally.
Right. The best experience ever was asking a waiter, ordered a Coke. So they brought me a bottle. They didn't bring me a Coke in a glass. They brought me they always bring the bottle and then they open it, pour it in the glass or whatever.
And if you're a good looking Italian chick, they give you a straw. So you drink right? That's very trendy.
So this guy didn't pour it. He just opened it, set it on the table. So then I asked him for ice. So he left. He came back with a champagne bucket full of ice and he put the bottle in it. So I guess that's what he thought I meant, to chill it.
That's so French, though, right?
It was great.
That did not happen to me at Deep Creek Lake or Latrobe when I went to eat Park and order chili.
I'm sure
that's not the way it worked. I'll just say this, and I want to be as crass. I'll play the role of Nasty Nestor and the Dundalk guy for a moment. I did 30 ballparks in 30 days back in 2015. And so I spent 3 nights in my own bed during that month, like during a Philadelphia Phillies game, a Nationals game, sort of winding my way back. So every single night I was in a hotel. So you think about it, hotel, lots of airports 24 out of the 30 days or whatever. Hotels, airports, and stadia, okay? Think about what we all have to do at least once a day, usually with the morning newspaper, but sometimes twice a day. And I think to myself, of all the things that I could pack with me, my camera, even my pillow at various points that made me more comfortable, the thing I really made a mistake on was 30 days of toilet paper.
There you go.
That was not in any way Charmin or home, but whatever was there, whatever's in the stadium, whatever's in the hotel, whatever's in the airport. And I said to my wife, if I did it again, if I had to do it over again, that was the mistake. The mistake is take your own toilet paper. Just something to think about. I mean, you think about taking a first aid kit, you think about taking all that. If I did 46 days in Europe, there would be one full
suitcase, a little carry-on,
maybe a little carry-on, a little roll bag,
carry-on with a Charmin Extra Soft or whatever it's called, Ultra Plush or whatever it is.
Well, hey man, you and I are going to need these suitcases to pack for these Oriole playoff games on the road, right?
Hey, there you go. Look at that.
Are you a believer or are you not a believer?
Look, I've been watching games. I'm a fan. We've talked about this a million times. I've always been a fan. I got to say, I've been a fan through the hard times, and I've been a fan when they've been winning. But, the last playoff game I think I attended was the Detroit Tigers, if I'm not mistaken, who recently fired their GM because they haven't done a thing since.
Did you were at the Delman Young game then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so everybody has, you have a moment with the Delman Young. That's the moment everybody talks about in the modern vernacular.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, as just a fan, it's kind of like wondering when Springsteen comes, like the next time you're going to experience that, or knowing you're not going to experience Tom Petty or Prince, right? But you
Right.
think as an Oriole fan, you're like, when's that next moment?
Right.
And they've
And
had a lot of
it's,
moments the last couple of weeks, right? I mean,
oh man,
home runs,
they've been
celebrations.
amazing. It's mostly a young team. I mean, I don't know the ages of these guys, but there are a lot of young guys on the team. They're playing good ball. Their spirits are high. And so I was cruising to the beach, taking a ride down to the beach house and listening to the game.
On 98
And
Rock?
of course,
Okay.
somewhere.
That's
And
just really weird when I
actually,
put 98 Rock on and I hear Orioles pregame, and I'm
Actually,
like,
I think I was listening on satellite on Sirius because the signal
okay.
was kind of cracking up, on the way to Delaware. But it's the Oriole feed. It was the Oriole feed, and general managers on talking to the broadcasters, and they were talking about the kids. And one of the things that I think you can't discount. Now, again, it couldn't have happened years ago because they didn't have the guys. But this catcher dude, Adley Rutschman, he's not just a doubles machine. I mean, the kid hits, the kid walks, the kid has a great eye as a catcher at bat. But I think what really is amazing to me is when I watch him, and I'm not there in the dugout, I'm not in the locker room, I'm not on the field, but it seems to me that he's got a winning persona. He's got the feel. He is lighting up these young guys and even some of the older guys about what it is to win, because this kid's a winner. He ain't about losing games. And I think it's kind of in the Ravens world, that Lamar thing they talk about, that, he makes the players around him better. He brings excitement.
Well, Ray
He
Lewis did
brings
that, right? Ray
right,
Lewis did that
right.
for all those. The football games haven't
Absolutely.
been the same since Ray
Absolutely.
Lewis stopped dancing. They
No
just haven't been.
question. And not only do they bring the winning spirit to me, but the other thing that to me is contagious, not just to the team, but to the fans and hopefully to the city, is they bring a smile, man. They are happy. People complain about Lamar because he's laughing and having fun. What more could you want? These are quote unquote men, right? Playing a child's game and getting paid millions of dollars for it, and for Lamar soon to be many millions for it. But look, if you and I could have played any of those games, we would gladly, I would guess, have given up our day job for the chance. uh it's playing games for a living. If you can't smile and laugh and have fun doing that, there's something wrong. And just to add another touch to that, I was watching, I don't know if it was last week, within the last week, when the Dodgers celebrated the life of Vin Scully, who was by far the best ever, the best. Uh, they were all up, they're all cheering, they're all smiling. You watch a Dodgers game, man, those dudes are having fun. They're playing a kid's game. And I don't think we had a lot of that fun watching the Orioles. I don't think there were a lot of players, one or two, but they didn't bring that winning spirit and that kid fun of, I'm in the major leagues and I'm playing catcher for the Orioles, and I'm gonna make this team a winner, and we're gonna win. And then that's contagious, man. That rubs off
Well, the
in a
fans
big
see
way.
that. The fans see that. The
Absolutely.
fans catch the spirit of what's going on here, and the fans
That's
that have
right.
hung in. My buddy Eddie Lauer, that's been down there shagging BP fly balls for the last
Right.
5 years during the slow nights, when there were a
Yep.
lot more foul balls during BP than there were fans to fetch the balls, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
at this point, to see it turn for people that have gone down there, parked their car. That's not me. I mean, I live down there. I mean, they
Yep. Yep.
excommunicated me 16 years ago. I watch from afar. I still see what's going on. I understand what the enthusiasm could do. I know what good baseball looks like. I appreciate
That's
good
right.
baseball,
That's
right?
right.
I think
And
this
they're
city
playing good
appreciates
ball.
good baseball. People our age do, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I gotta say, I haven't been to many games, a couple few a season. I got rid of my season tickets a long time ago. It was a choice between Oriole games and Raven games and Capital games, and Orioles in their losing ways were the first ones to go. So I haven't been this year yet, but man, it's contagious down there. The spirit's high, and I'm looking forward to going to a game or two. And it would be great to see a playoff game back here in Baltimore. Uh, There's no reason there couldn't be. I think they're probably a year, maybe more ahead of where they thought they would be in this rebuild from what I read and hear and see. But hey, better a year ahead than a couple years behind. And
No doubt about it.
Just ask Detroit.
Leonard Raskin joins us here. He is at Raskin Global, directing money and helping people live their American dream and trying to have a good time here this summer when the air conditioning's working. And, I know you're going to be doing some counseling on money here going into, we got kids going back to school and people making end of year decisions. It literally never ends. I mean, I'm in the middle of it, as you well know, where you move, things change, taxes change, situation changes. Staying on top of that, that's pretty much what you do for people like me.
Absolutely, absolutely. This week has been an interesting week. We meet with people who are just starting out. A young guy who's a son of a client that we've worked with for years, first job, real job, out of college, and looking to buy a house. And how do I get a mortgage? And he didn't know what he was looking at. Something that you and I would look at and say, okay, here's the rate, and it's a point, which is 1% of the loan amount. But mortgage brokers talk in terms of points and rates, and you don't know what rate and point and term you're supposed to get. He didn't understand what he was looking at. So Dad sent me a text and said, can you help him? Absolutely. So we pick up the phone, we do some email, we do some texting, and he's now set to get his mortgage and get the first house. And what's really interesting, in the last couple of years, let's face it, mortgage rates have 30-year fixed been in the 2.5%, 3% range. Now with some inflation, they've jumped up over 5. We see 5.5, almost 6% on a 30-year loan. And he was looking at two lenders that were between 4.9 and 4.875. And what was the better loan and what was the cost, and figuring all that out. So he was happy to get a loan under 5, which is kind of amazing because you should be happy to get a loan under 3. But right now, under 5 is pretty good. So that was this week. And then, unfortunately, working with another couple that we worked with for years, who an elderly aunt passed away. And we were talking about the inheritance and how to position assets and how they would have to deal with the estate, and talking to an estate attorney at the other end of the life spectrum of what we do. And we involve our world in A to Z finance, from budgeting when you start, to how to save it, how to become a world-class saver, how to have your American dream, whether that's working hard, whether that's buying a new business, whether that's buying your first house, or laying a relative to rest and dealing with the inheritance and everything in between. Money is a thing that all of us, well, I would say all of us, there are people that don't work, but all of us earn and have. And because of that, we think we know what to do with it. And I will tell you, precious few people do. I've studied it my whole adult life, 35 plus years in business now, of advising people what to do with their money, how to make prudent, smart decisions that keep the financial institutions and the government at bay. And if you don't do that, they will take from you all they can and leave you with precious pittance. Your sponsor, the Maryland Lottery, you can certainly ask them. Some of these posts people put out there on the social web world are false. We know that about a lot of things, but one in particular that I'll reference, the big $1 billion lottery. Everybody said it was $1.2 billion, I think it was, when the person won. $1.3 billion. So one person won the $1.3 billion, and they said they're only going to get 400,000, and the government gets the rest.
For $1 million.
That's not true. That's not true. They're only going to get 400 million, and the government's going to get the rest. The government didn't get 900,000. If you take the lump sum of the lottery, if you listen to the broadcast, they say estimated annuitized value, which means if you take it over like 20 years, it's $1.3 billion. If you take the lump sum, it starts at 700 or something. So you start at 700, then the government takes 3, then you're left with 4. Okay, so for $2, it really sucks to end up with 400 million. That would be a tough life. But
then there's what to do with it, and then you need a guy like you,
and then
right?
you need me. But the government did not take 900 million. But having said that, they take enough, and in our everyday life, they take from all of us. And the idea is keep their hands out, unless you want to give it to them. If you want to give it to them, we can show you how to do that. But in my 36 years, you'd be the first person that said, help me pay more taxes.
We don't need to
So
pay more taxes.
no.
Look, I mean, we know we don't agree politically, but that's okay. You know what I mean? But I can agree that less taxes is better.
Hey,
You
I
know,
have
but
never
as
worked.
much as it takes to run the society, though, that's all.
That's
I
right.
do like. I do like driving on roads without potholes. Having
I get
driven
it.
all over this state and Pennsylvania and West Virginia in the last, I don't know, 72 hours up to Latrobe to run around with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers,
Yep.
where they cordially invite me in and treat me well, believe it or not, until the
There
rain
you go.
started. But the roads and so schools and police and I even thought, like, living out in that area, what happens if you cut your hand? How long would it take the ambulance to come in? So I do think of
Right.
public services and taxes and stuff like that.
Right.
But I think we're all in agreement that we want to pay our fair share, but not a nickel more. I think that's
Right. That's right. Look, the law prescribes what you pay. And if you're acting within the law, there is nothing wrong with what anybody pays based on the law. And politicians will run around and say the rich don't pay their fair share. That's nonsense. What they're saying is we wrote really crappy laws that they drove a truck loophole through and acted on what we wrote, and now we're upset about it. Well, change the law. If you want to change the law, change the law. What I know is if you look around the country, people are flocking to a handful of states that have no income tax, and they're leaving states that have high income tax. And there's a reason for that. It's because people don't like paying taxes. And just what you said, I have political spectrum of clients from L to C, liberal to conservative. And I will tell you, not a one of them wants to pay a nickel more in taxes than they can, and they all want to find a way to save them.
And they all want $2 gas and $1 gallons of milk and 50-cent loaves of bread, and like
it doesn't matter who they are and what their political leanings are. But here's the little dirty secret of tax: it doesn't matter who's in charge; they take it from us no matter what. The only difference is whether or not you like what they use it for. They're all taken. It doesn't matter who's in charge, doesn't matter who's in Congress. They can say all they want. The US government has never brought in more revenue than it does right now. And we're still behind because we spend too much as a government, and it doesn't matter who's in there. They're not going to stop spending. They're just going to change what they spend it on.
Right. Right. I would agree with that. Leonard Raskin is here. We're talking some money, some others. So crab cakes, okay?
Cakes. Good stuff.
I had a really good crab cake the other day in Randallstown.
My home.
That's why I brought it up with you.
Yes,
The Crab Queen is, I'm just giving a free plug away here. I'm eating crab cakes everywhere. So I could plug Nick's Airport Inn, or I could plug the Aces Run out in Deep Creek, or Helen's down in Millersville, where I had a delicious crab egg roll. I mean, delicious crab egg roll. But I was in your neighborhood, and when I brought it home and I took the first 2 bites and I said, it was a hell of a crab cake, I thought, Raskin's going to want to know about this because he grew up over there.
Absolutely. It's my home stomping grounds, Liberty and Old Court Road, baby. The home of Old Court Savings and Loan, the beginning of the debacle of banking. When there was a line.
Did you meet Jeffrey Levitt?
What's that?
Did you ever meet Jeffrey Levitt?
No, I was too young. I was a depositor there, and I didn't lose any money because I just had a little checking account with like $7 in it or something.
You didn't have any money then to lose.
Right. It was my first bank account.
But it did teach you a lesson about not to give your money to Bernie Madoff, right?
Right. But I do remember this very distinctly. 2 things. Number one, everybody was in line to get their money out of the bank. And these were the days with no ATMs and no online banking. And I had a little job, and I had to deposit my paycheck so I could write checks in my account. And I had an account there, and I got to go in front of all those people because I was putting money in the bank because I had to cover a check that I had to, little check I had to write. So I got to go in front of all those people. The other thing I'll never forget, unfortunately, sadly, this is a very bad thing, was Jeffrey Levitt's wife on the news racing away from, it might have been Jane Miller, who knows.
I'll have to ask Jane
with
that.
her
blue
raincoat on in the middle of like a storm or something. That's an image burned into the brain that I'll never forget.
I worked at the paper when that was going on. I was a kid, 84, 85, 86.
Yep.
So it was the biggest story in town for sure.
Oh yeah. So
That's
that
why
was
we're
my
Baltimore
home.
positive. We bring up these old memories, even if they're not
That's
positive.
right.
They're
That was that was
50
my
years
home
later, as long as we
stomping
didn't lose any
grounds.
money on it,
That's it. I worked for the old Equitable Bank, which was, well, not at the time I was banking there. I didn't, but there then I worked. Well, I think I told you this before. Back then, I worked for Royal Farms.
Did you get like, did they have fried chicken then?
No,
They did
no,
not. This
no,
is before fried
no.
chicken, right?
This was when they were just competing with little 7-Eleven for
They
milk and
had
bread.
ices, right? In the
Yeah,
hats, in the
yeah, yeah.
baseball hats.
Yes, yes, yes,
My
yes. And
Royal Farm was
they
was
had
on
fresh
Mace
coffee.
Avenue in Essex. That was where the Royal Farms that I knew was,
Yep.
and it was all about going in. I always tell Frank Schilling and Ed Stronsky, or but my friends at Royal Farms, I would tell them it was always about the hats. I have pictures of me as a little boy. My
Yep.
dad took me down there and got every hat for me. I had a Brewers hat, a
There you
Pirates
go.
hat, an Astros hat. I had them all. And so yeah, that's my hey, Royal Farms all over the place too. My Wise Marks. I've been driving. So Pittsburgh, have you ever thought about, were you a Westminster guy? Did you like it out there?
It's okay. I've been. I've been. I mean,
Being close to the players and the old vibe and the
oh,
rolling hills
you're
and
talking about training camp stuff. No, no,
yeah.
no, no, no. I didn't
You
know
didn't
what you
like
meant.
training camp.
No, yeah, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. I'm not a preseason. We talked about this before. I'm
Right.
not a fake football guy, especially when they charge you to see, kids that aren't going to be on the team and when it
But there
starts.
was
And
something for me in Westminster, and I didn't love going out there. I didn't go out there 5 times a summer. I just didn't love being out there. It was hot. It was
right,
awful.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
practice. Luke likes it more than I do. Just on
good,
he just really
good. Let
likes
him
it.
go.
It's
Good,
great.
right,
So,
right.
but
Some people like cutting grass. Other people hire people to cut the grass.
but it's been 10 years
Yeah,
since we've had really a Westminster to go to. I see what
right.
they do in a cheese league up in Wisconsin. Some teams still go up there. Sean Payton brought the Saints to West Virginia, the Greenbrier, right? And then
Okay,
Belichick brought his team down there at one point. So there are different ways to do training camp, right? It was
right,
sort of like,
right.
I mean, the Cowboys have been doing it in California all these years, right? So
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's always done it in Latrobe.
Yep.
Obviously, the plague changed that. They haven't had it there in 3 years, so they brought it back. And I really last year we did the crab cake tour. I did Western Maryland at the end of
Yeah.
August. This
Right.
and there wasn't a Latrobe. I put this thing together about 2 weeks ago. I realized I'm like, I'm going to be out in Deep Creek Lake on a Monday and a
Pretty
Tuesday, the
close.
first week of
Pretty
August. Like,
close.
I wonder, and then I Googled and I text Mike Tomlin. So I had a really cool, and I'm not a Steeler fan, obviously. There
No.
weren't a lot of people there because they moved the practice back 3 hours. I mean, Leonard, there were 400 people there. I mean, like
Right.
parking, there was no, it wasn't Austin. It was literally a little camp out on the hill. The field was a little muddy, and coach is trying to get them off. And then the rain came. But what a beautiful experience! I mean, that's something that's not available with the Ravens anymore. You got to win lottery. You got to park. It's like you got to go to the castle. It's
Or you got to
not
go to the stadium. You got to go to
right.
the stadium and
Well,
watch it.
stadium's a good experience too. They do the
Yeah,
fireworks. I mean,
absolutely. For
I
a lot
tip
of
my
people
cap
that
to all of that. I'm
for
good
a
with
lot of
all
people
that.
that can't get to games, yeah.
I'm just saying, driving through Western Pennsylvania on those rolling hills on a stunningly beautiful day, seeing farms,
I'll be there on the weekend coming up because we got to take the boy back to his Columbus home. He's back to college this week.
See, I'm going to get
So
you pulling off a 68 out there, and I'm going to send you up to Falling Water, up to Ohio Pile. Some of these great. We went to this great town called Bryan, West Virginia. Bryant, West Virginia. It was a beautiful little art town. Great meal.
there you
The
go.
woman who served me the food was from Essex. How about that?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
man, you meet people from everywhere,
Right.
even Randallstown
Right.
or Dundalk getting together. Leonard Raskin, he advises folks on money. It's Raskin Global. Go to raskinglobal.com. He's getting ready for football season, trying to endure baseball season, and just happy to be home, right? Like,
Good to be home.
you spent too long away. Any regrets?
No, not too long. No, the only regret was not scheduling an Airbnb on laundry day. Hotels are not good places to do laundry. They charge you $4 to wash a pair of underwear. That's a little crazy. So we had to go to the laundromat a couple times on the trip, do the laundry, get ready for the next week.
I did that in Buenos Aires when I was there. I went to like the little local. Man, the service I got at this little, tailor place I just needed my jeans washed, you know what I mean?
Right,
But
right.
sometimes I like that as well. But hey, I gave you toilet paper, and now you're saying to me, when I
Laundromat.
decide to do 46 days in Australia, make sure
Right.
you mix a laundromat in on the 8th or 10th day. I got you. I understand that.
Or an Airbnb. If you're going to be moving and you're going to be in different parts of the world, make sure when it comes to laundry day that you have an Airbnb where you can, get up in the morning, throw a laundry load in, cruise the day, do things, throw a
You
laundry
were a
load
little
in,
aggressive in your booking,
have
right? I mean,
dinner.
honestly, right? Did you
Oh
give
my
yourself any
goodness.
free days, or did you have 46
Yeah,
straight days where your kid
two.
has you storming the beaches of
No,
Normandy?
2 free days and 2 day all day driving days. It was it was a lot of days.
Dude, I'm doing 31 crab cakes and 31 breweries in 31 days. So, and all
You're
over the
driving,
state.
you're
So
driving all over.
I'll be in Salisbury next week. We're going to be in
There
Ocean
you
City
go.
next weekend and making our way back. I hope to see you either in Eldersburg or up in Westminster.
We
We're
will.
coming back
We
doing
will.
stuff later on in the month. Leonard Raskin, go check him out. He's one of the good ones and keeping you square and making sure that your money stays safe and that your head stays. More than anything, it's peace of mind.
Absolutely.
RaskinGlobal.com. Appreciate you, Leonard. We'll see you next week, pal.
You got it.
Hope interest rates are lower. That's what
Hey, there we go.
Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. I'm out on the Crab Cake Tour. Big appreciation to all of our sponsors. We talked so much about it. I'm getting back out to the Eastern Shore next week, and then back here locally. We're going to be in Eldersburg and Liberatores in 2 weeks. We're also going to be at Rock Salt Grill up in Westminster. I want to give them both a shout out and eating crab cakes and drinking beer. It's what we do. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Steelers training camp in Baltimore Positive.